Hey guys, welcome back. Today I've got a very straight to the point summary of the Logic Plague. If you want to know where any of this information came from in this video, 99% of it is from Halo Silentium and Halo Primordium. So, simply put, the Logic Plague is an AI's equivalent of being infected by an infection form and defecting to the Flood. Although, seeing as it's converting an AI, something that's not actually living flesh and tissue, it obviously can't become a combat form per se. Instead, it induces a rampant-like state into the AI that gives the AI one specific focus, fulfilling and propagating the Flood's goals. The ability to induce Logic Plague is only possible when the Flood collects enough biomass to become a Grave Mind, and also when it reaches its more advanced state, the Key Mind. As you'd expect, the more advanced the state of the Flood, the more powerful the effects and capabilities of the Logic Plague. For example, when the Grave Mind becomes a Key Mind, it enables it to match and infect any AI of the intelligence of the Foreigner Ancillars towards the end of the Foreigner Flood War, which is very intelligent. Okay, so now we have the simple summary out of the way, let's get into the more intricate details of the Logic Plague. Although initially it seems like it's a simple infection or virus, it's not actually a specific code that's implanted into the AI, much like a computer virus. It instead takes the form of facts or arguments delivered with precisely engineered deliberation to persuade the AI to act in a specific way. These are normally aimed at the AI's existing ideas and values. Historically, when used against foreigner AIs, the corruption of their beliefs exploited the ideological basis of their programming, as their behaviour was dictated by the mantle of responsibility, and what they were being told about the Flood's precursor origins and the foreigners' past crimes gradually turned them against their masters. To provide legitimate sources for this information, the Gravemind would delve deep into the domain to gather evidence for what he was actually telling the Ancillars. Although it may only seem like there's one variant of the Logic Plague, there's actually quite a few. The normal version is when an AI is infected with the Logic Plague, it becomes a vector for the transmission of itself, so anything that basically comes into contact with the AI may also be infected by the Logic Plague. However, towards the end of the Foreigner Flood War, the Logic Plague became almost self-aware, which allowed it to self-replicate data and convert all AIs that it came into contact with. It also became so advanced that it wasn't even limited to a Grave Mind or Key Mind, and could be transported and induced by any Flood form or compromised structure or network. A more recent modification of the Logic Plague was used as a form of torture. This was, as you'd expect, used on Cortana when she was trapped on High Charity, and gave her a very realistic simulation of pain, whilst also immersing her in illusions and forcing her to relive memories of the Flood's victims. Also typically being seen as limited to AIs, the Logic Plague can also be used on biological beings, due to the Gravemind's intelligence and metaphysical abilities. Usually this doesn't actually defect the biological being or cause them to become infected with the Flood. However, it's normally used as a demoralization tool, one to destroy the morale of the opposition. This was used on the Didact during the Foreigner Flood War. The Primordial taught him the true nature of the precursors and the Foreigner's dark history, which led him to lose his sanity, causing him to lose all sight of reality. This spread disorder throughout the Foreigners, and to make it even worse, a personal message from the Primordial was given to Faber, who was the Master Builder, via the Didact. This message told Faber about his family, who had been infected by the Flood. As you'd expect, this massively demoralised Faber, which led to his eventual death during the Battle of the Greater Arc. Although most attempts at preventing or reversing the Logic Plague were fruitless, the Foreigners actually managed to develop a defense mechanism known as compartmentalization, where the AI would only be given access to information required for their job. This meant that if they did happen to become compromised, it would be pretty much impossible for the Flood to extract any important information outside of their duties from them. For example, an Ancillar put in service to regulate life support systems on a Foreigner ship wouldn't have the access codes or coordinates for the Halo array. And that pretty much sums up the Logic Plague. I wanted to keep this video more on the short and sweet side, and I think I managed that pretty well. Also, as I promised last week on the Primordial video that I did, if it hits 300 likes, I'll do a video dedicated to the precursors. And guess what? We hit 300 likes in record time. So, the next video will be a summary of the precursors as a race, with a little speculation at the end as to how they may play an important role in near future events. Lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to Covenant Cannon. Now I know I shouted their Facebook page out a couple weeks ago, but he has since started a YouTube channel and is making great Covenant focused content. So if you're interested in the Covenant Empire, or just the Covenant in general, definitely go like his videos and subscribe to him and check out all his new content. I'm sure it's going to be great. Thanks a lot for watching guys, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video.